Hi there. So this is a live broadcast, a live Q&A session that I want to answer questions that you may be having. So if you have any questions about anything that you would want me to cover, drop it in the comment box and I'm going to be answering all of your questions for you live on the channel. Very important. That is why I am here today. I want to answer all your questions for you. Now, one thing that you need to understand is that this week, that is last week, I shared something about financial reporting and the number of students who scored less than 40% in the financial reporting examination. Now, what happened is that the May 2019 examination, for instance, financial reporting students, about 80% of students scored less than 40% of the examination. And it's something serious that we need to look out for, we need to question, we need to talk about. If you just joined the broadcast, this is a special Q&A session. So if you have any questions, just drop it in the comment box. I'm going to have access to all your questions and I'm going to answer all your questions for you. So if you have any questions, just put it in the comment box and share this video with others, and let's have many people on the stream and let's help many people as much as we can. So maybe you watch a lecture on the channel but you didn't understand something, or you had a question that you want me to answer. Comment below with your questions and then let's deal with them on the channel. So comment below with your questions and then let me answer all of the questions for you. Now, I was talking about financial reporting because one of the things that you need to understand is that many students are not really working well. They are not really studying well. Just give me a moment. Let me put this in the charts. Yeah, so comment below with your question. Okay, so Bernard Peho, let me try to get your question. You said, in your view, apart from exclusion of partnership and branch accounting from FR, how different will these exams be? Okay, the FR examination now is going to be like this. Number one, high priority on financial accounting standards or financial reporting standards, if you want to put it like that. So more questions, maybe the examiner will increase the accounting standard question to somewhere like 25 or 30%. Then consolidated financial statements, certainly there is going to be a question on that. Then we also going to have the issue in relation to single entity financial statements. So certainly there is going to be a question on single entity financial statement, and then ratios. But then there is an inclusion of ethics. So now there is ethics as part of financial reporting. Okay, so certainly the examiner is going to be or may send some questions on ethics. So partnership out, branch accounting out, there may be questions on ethics, and then conceptual framework and regulatory framework. Certainly there will be some questions on that, and so you have to be on the lookout for in relation to that. So Bernard, this is what I think the exam is going to be. More focused on accounting standards. So make sure you know all your accounting standards. IAS 12, IAS 16, IAS 20, IAS 23, IAS 36, IAS 37, IAS 38, IAS 40, IFRS 5, IFRS 16, IFRS 15. All of these standards you should be on the lookout for and know them. So that is the answer to your question, Bernard. That is the answer to your question. So comment below with all your questions and let me address all of them. So comment below with your questions and then let me handle these questions for you in relation to that. Right, so that is how I think the FR exam is going to be. Now, so I was talking about financial reporting because many students are failing the financial reporting exams. Okay, the number of students failing the financial reporting exams is just way out of the league. It's something that is really affecting a lot. So if you are going to be writing financial reporting this semester, just I'm sharing the video on our platform. Right, so if you are going to be writing financial reporting, one of the things that you have to know is that the exam is going to be the way it has to be. Okay? Nothing is going to change from the exams. You're going to be having your questions the way they are. Definitely, we're going to be having questions on accounting standards. Definitely, we're going to be having questions in relation to, how do we call it, consolidated financial statements. We're going to be having questions in relation to issues about interpretation of financial statement, conceptual framework, regulatory framework. So certainly there will be questions on this. But this is what I want you to note. You see, students over the years, especially last semester, the number of students who failed financial reporting was really serious. And major issue that the examiner raised was that many students were not prepared for the exams. And I've already discussed this in a video. In case you missed that video, just check it on the channel, why you fail financial reporting. I think that is the heading of the video. And make sure you watch that video because I explain the reasons why students fail the exams. And primarily, there are two reasons why students fail the exams. They are not prepared for the exams, and then two, that they lack understanding in financial reporting standards, and then also the double entry principle. So if you just joined the broadcast, click the link below this video. Just click the link below this video, comment below this video, and then ask your questions. This is a Q&A session. It's a question and answer session, okay? You are going to be asking the questions and I will answer. So if you have any questions on anything that you want to ask, maybe you watch a video on the channel, but you didn't understand something and there is something you want me to clarify, you want me to look at in detail for you, just comment below and then let me answer your questions for you. Comment below and let me answer your questions for you. Right, so I don't know how you are preparing for your examination, but you must know that we literally have about less than 3 weeks to go for the examination, and so you need to be on your concluding aspect. By now, if you are writing something like financial reporting, all other things being equal, you should be finished with consolidated financial statements and working hard on other issues, working hard on other areas. So if you just joined the broadcast, comment below with your questions. A Q&A session. This is a Q&A session. I want to answer all the questions that you are having. So comment below with your questions and then let me answer all your questions for you in relation to that. So if you are preparing for the ICAG examination, this is a new syllabus and this is the first time the examiner is going to be examining on this syllabus, and many students are wondering what is the structure of the examination, how is the exam going to be. Basically the exam is going to be the way you know it to be, alright? It's going to be the same way, only that there are some papers that a couple of things have been removed, a couple of things have been taken out. For instance, if you are writing public sector accounting and finance, you know that the syllabus grading has 40% on final accounts, where Then you are going to be dealing with the IPSAS. You are going to be dealing with the issues in relation to final accounts of public sector organizations. You're going to be dealing with issues in relation to how you can prepare financial statements of MDAs and MMDAs, and also final accounts on the how do we call it? On the consolidated fund. So the question I asked is, if you are writing public sector accounting and finance, you must make sure you understand the IPSAS. But a good thing also about this is that if you are writing financial reporting and you are also writing public sector accounting and finance, then chances are you have an idea about the IPSAS already. Because most of the IPSAS, that is the public sector accounting standards, they are almost similar to the international standards, international, or the IASs and then the IFRSs. Because for instance, when you take something like IPSAS 1, is the same as IAS 1. If you take IPSAS 2, which is cash flow statement, is the same as IAS 7, cash flow statement. Only that the terminologies, some of the terminologies may be different, but the approach, solving of the questions and everything is virtually almost always going to be the same. For instance, if you take something like IPSAS 9, that is revenue from exchange transactions. This is similar to IAS 18 revenue. Okay, it is similar to IAS 18 revenue. So it means that you don't have to go over the thing all over again. It means you don't have to really start from scratch. You virtually have an idea once you are doing financial reporting. But if you're not doing financial reporting, then you have to actually start everything from scratch. You have to actually look at everything, go back to everything, and actually start everything from zero. And that will make it a bit challenging and a bit difficult for you. But you must get the notification, get the documentation on all of these things in relation to that. So if you just join the broadcast, comment below with your questions, and then let me answer all your questions for you. Let me answer all your questions for you. So what questions do you have? What questions do you want me to answer? So comment below with your questions. If you just joined the broadcast, comment with your questions. Comment below with your questions. Let me answer all your questions for you. Right, so one thing also that you need to understand is that the ICAG exams is a standard exams. And one thing we realized is that many students don't spend time to study, many students don't spend time to with their books, and many students don't really put in the work and solve a lot of questions. If you are going to pass the exams, one thing you must do is to make sure you solve as much questions as possible. Okay, you must make sure you solve as much questions as possible. So if you are just joining the broadcast, comment below with your questions, any questions that you have, on any subject, financial reporting, corporate reporting, taxation, public sector, financial management, audit and assurance, any question that you have that you want me to answer, you want me to look at, just put it in the chat box, and I will answer all of your questions for you so I can assist you and help you to prepare well for the examination. Now, so one thing you must know is this. You see, every subject that you are writing has core principles that you must understand. Okay? Every subject you are writing has core principles that you must understand. Now, in order to increase your chances of passing the examination, you must understand what? These core principles. Okay? You must understand these core principles. So, many a times we see people who have written the exams before and they are resitting for the exams and they don't spend time to go through, they don't spend time to pretend as though they've not learned the thing before. So this is what I want to tell you. We have less than 3 weeks to go for the ICA November 2019 examination. Now, if we have less than 3 weeks to go for the exams, then it means that you must put in the work. All right. I know some of you may be going on leave. Some of you may be spending some 2 weeks to do more intensive studies. Some of you may be spending maybe 1 week to do more intensive studies. But what I would suggest is that all of these will not help you. Okay? All of these will not help you. It is not about doing 1 week intensive, 2 weeks intensive. It is about starting now. It is about starting out now and doing the work gradually, small, one after the other. That is how you can increase your chances of passing the exams. Okay? That is how you can increase your chances of passing the exams. Because if not, then you are just going to prepare vainly and you will not be able to be in a position to pass the examination. So comment below with your questions. Right, so if you just joined the broadcast, comment below with your questions. I'm just here to answer a couple of questions, and I'll be doing this from now till you write your exams every single day like this. So comment below and let me answer your questions for you. Right, so I was mentioning the issue in relation to your preparation for the exams, because in as much as you are going to register for the exams, it is not just about registering for the exams, but it's about being in the position where you can write the exams and substantially pass the exams. All right, that is why I created this YouTube channel, so that you can have access to a lot of lecture videos. And we share a lot of lecture videos on corporate reporting, financial reporting, audit and assurance, taxation. So we have some videos on public sector. We have some lecture videos on financial management, and all are there to help you so you can prepare well for your examination. Now, one of the things that we have received, one of the concerns that we've received from a number of students is about the examination. Many students are thinking that, oh, the ICA exams is going to be the same way that it has been. But this is one thing you need to understand. The institute is now really getting formidable, and so questions are now getting more technical. Questions require a lot of knowledge and understanding in what you are doing to be able to pass the examination. If you just joined the broadcast, comment below with your questions. Any questions that you are having, comment below, and then I would answer it. Look at the chat box and put your questions there. Whatever it is that you want me to cover, whatever it is that you want me to explain further, if it is a topic, if it is a subject, if it is a question that you are solving, you don't understand something, and you want me to look at, just put it in the comment box and I'll answer all of those questions for you. And remember to share the video as well with your colleagues so that we get a lot of people joining the broadcast live. So the CA exams is now getting much technical. What it means is that in order for you to pass the exams, you need to really prepare for the exams. You cannot just be casual about your studies. You cannot just be lackadaisical about your studies. You cannot just be normal about your studies and go into the exams and expect to pass the exams. No. If you want to really pass the exams, then you've got to put in the work. Then you've got to sacrifice. Then you've got to put in the efforts, because many things that we've seen is that students don't prepare well for the exams. Okay, students don't prepare well for the exams, and they hide behind the curtains of I don't have time, my job, my family, my wife, my husband, my boss, my church, and all these. But this is my plea to you, okay? This is my humble plea to you. Why will you spend money to register for an exams that you did not prepare for? I mean, why will you do that? Why will you prepare for an exams or register for an exams that you did not adequately prepare for? There are a lot of you, when you enter the exam hall, open the question, you know that this paper you have failed. Why? It's because you couldn't get time to study. You didn't put yourself in the position to be able to study, to be able to work hard, to be able to put in the effort and do what it is that you need to do in order to increase your chances of passing the exams. That is the problem. That is a challenge that we've seen over the years. So instead of just looking at the fact that you're going to be registering for the exams and you just do shabbily and go away, it is not going to work like that. Now, one of the concerns also that we have is that, somebody will say, I didn't go attend any lectures. I just did my personal studies and I passed. Yes, that could be true for somebody, and the person could be able to do it and the person passed. Now, you don't have to adopt that approach, because that approach is not good. It's not good. You cannot say, I'm not attending lectures, I'll just do some small revision and I'll pass the exams. It doesn't work that way. That is not how you get to pass the exams. It doesn't work that way. So if really you want to position yourself, if really you want to put yourself at a spot, or in a spot where you can prepare, in a spot where you can write the exams and pass the exams, then you have to raise your game. You need to put in the efforts. You need to start working, because that is the only way you can really make this thing to happen. Okay, that is the way you can make this thing to happen. So don't learn the way others. Somebody said, I didn't attend lectures for public sector. I just did I read some books and then I went inside and I passed. It's easy, you can pass. I didn't attend an audit class. I just read some books and I passed. No. The fact that somebody did a self-study whatsoever and the person passed does not mean that it has become a standard that you have to follow. Okay? That shouldn't be a standard that you follow, because you're gonna fail if you follow the standard. Alright? This is always something that I talk about, because for instance, if you put 10 people in a room, okay, and ask these 10 people to study on their own, no assistance, no help from outside, they should study on their own, give them all the books they require, whatever, they should do whatever they like, study on their own, and sit for the CA exams. I can guarantee you that maybe one person will pass out of the 10 people. Why? Because self-study requires some level of discipline that is not common to everybody. It's not common. You can take 100 people and it's only one person or two people out of the 100 that will have that discipline, that will have that ability to be able to self-study, nurture themselves, research, work hard, do everything that there is to be done in order to position them to pass the exams. That is it. That is it. So if you are going to be in the position to pass the exams, if really you are going to be have the ability to enter the exam hall, look at the questions and comfortably answer all the questions, then you must put in the work. And the work has to be put in now. You don't have to wait 2 weeks to the exams, 1 week to the exams, 3 days to the exams and start studying. You are just putting yourself up for failure if you do that. If you do that. So my humble plea to you is this. If you are going to prepare for the exams, if you are going to register for the exams, then you better prepare for the exams. Start putting in the work now. Start sacrificing now. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to work hard. Then you're not going to have any chance in the exam hall. Because the exam is going to be technical. Sometimes people come out from the exam hall and they say the exams is difficult. No, the exams is not difficult. It's just technical. It's technical in such a way that it requires high level of understanding of the subject, high level of understanding of the topics, high level of understanding of the concepts, so you will be able to pass the exams. That is why being casual about studies cannot guarantee you or put you up to pass the exams. It cannot guarantee you. Okay? It's not possible. You cannot do it like that. So my question is, where you are right now, what you are doing right now, are you ready to prepare for the exams? Are you ready, really ready for the exams? How prepared are you for the exams? How prepared are you for the exams? I know you are busy. I know you work for someone. I know you have a spouse. I know you have children. I know you need to do something at church. At the end of the day, you signed up for this. At the end of the day, you signed up for this. So the question is, are you putting in the work that will get you to the exams hall, and not just get you to the exam hall, but get you to pass the exams? Are you putting in the work? Chances are many of you will realize that you're not putting in much. You're not doing much. How many questions have you solved on your own so far? How many questions have you solved on your own? For whatever subject that you are preparing for to write, how many questions have you solved on your own? This is outside your lecture hall. This is outside what you have learned. How many questions have you solved on your own? Chances are you've not solved any questions. And for some of you, what you will do is that you will pick the past questions, print out the past questions, and then you're looking at the questions and the solution. And you end up become very confused because you don't understand what is happening. And that is true. Because the reason why you don't understand is that you are forgetting to note that you must first learn the concepts, the principles that underlie the subject, the concepts, the principles that underlie the topic. So my question to you is this. Are you ready for this exams that you are going for? I know certainly you registered for the exams. I know certainly you've paid the money. I know certainly you've chosen, you've decided on the center. I know you've made various arrangements for the exams week. But my question is, are you really ready? Are you really prepared? Are you going into these exams with a mindset of being able to pass the exams, or it's just one of those things? Is it just one of those things, or you are going in really to pass the exams? What are you doing? How are you preparing for the exams? So if you just joined the broadcast, comment below with your questions. Any questions that you are having, comment below. I just finished answering the question of Bernard Peho. I don't know if I pronounced the name right. Please forgive me. Your question was, in your view, apart from the exclusion of partnership and branch accounting from FR, how different will these exams be? And I've answered that the exam is not going to be anything different. More focus on standards, more focus on consolidation, more focus on ethics, more focus on conceptual framework and regulatory framework. Certainly, there are going to be questions on these areas that you have to look out for in the exams hall. So, are you ready for these exams? That is a key question that you have to ask yourself. So let me give you some tips that will help you so that you can do your revision well at this moment. You need to start working on and doing a couple of revision. So I'm going to just pick and choose a couple of subjects and then talk to you about it. Number one, if you're writing financial reporting or corporate reporting, you need to make sure you understand some fundamental accounting standards. Listen carefully, you cannot enter the financial reporting examination without the understanding of the standards that I'm about to list. In other words, the financial reporting exams and the corporate reporting exams is on the crux of these standards. And I've already mentioned them, but they are standards that you have to look out for in much detail. Something like IAS 8, very important. IAS 12, very critical. IAS 16, fundamental. IAS 36, impairment, critical. IAS 37, provisions, very critical. IAS 38, very critical. You need to understand. Then, when you are learning IAS 40, there are some standards that are, when you are learning IAS 16 rather, there are some standards that are related to the IAS, and that is IAS 20, that is government grants, IAS 23, borrowing costs, and then IAS 40, investment property, all right? And also IFRS 5, asset held for sale and discontinued operation. So these are core accounting standards that you need to understand. Then IFRS 9, financial instrument. It has become critical also now for financial reporting examination as well as the corporate reporting examination. So if you are writing these papers, these standards are critical, these standards are fundamental, these standards are something that you need to understand and make sure you position yourself in such a way that you'll be able to answer them. Now, it could be that the examiner will send separate questions on these standards, and I can guarantee you, certainly there are questions in the exam hall on these standards that are listed. Certainly there are going to be questions on it in the exam hall. So you can either have a separate questions, or they can be in the footnote to the single entity, footnotes to the consolidated financial statements, or footnotes to dealing with interpretation of financial statement ratios. So these are something that are very critical. That is financial reporting. If you're writing public sector accounting and finance, for instance, also, there are some fundamental things that you need to understand. For instance, you need to understand the issues about the IPSAS, that is the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. You have to understand them. These are critical standards now. You need to understand them. Then you need to understand the issues in relation to the Public Financial Management Act, 2016, Act 925, sorry, Act 921, that is, if I'm right with my memory, I guess so, I'm right. The Public Financial Management Act. Whether you like it or not, if you're writing public sector accounting and finance, there is a question waiting for you from that act. And that act is a very detailed act, and you must get a copy of the act and read through it if you're writing public sector accounting and finance. Okay? So once you're writing public sector accounting and finance, make sure you get a copy of that act. Read the act. Okay? Make sure you get a copy of it. Read the act, because it's very important. So it's critical. All right? So the Public Financial Management Act is critical, something that is critical, certainly there is going to be a question on that. In addition to that, procurement, the Public Procurement Act, very critical. There is going to be certainly questions on procurement. Then issues about accounting systems, very important. There is going to be questions on that, and you have to be in the position to answer the question. Then some fundamental issues like differences between public sector accounting, private sector accounting. Certainly there's going to be question on that. Then PPP, that is public-private partnership. Certainly there is going to be a question on that. There's going to be a question on that. So if you are writing financial reporting, public sector, if you're writing public sector, then certainly you must position yourself to be able to answer questions from that. If it is audit and assurance you are writing, there are key areas you have to focus on to increase your chances of passing the examination. For every audit and assurance exams, certainly you are going to be having questions on, how do we call it? Audit procedure. Audit procedure. Certainly you have questions on audit procedure. Certainly you'll be having some questions around internal controls. Certainly. So that is going to be there. Certainly you're going to be having some questions on audit planning. Audit planning is critical. Then risk assessment. There is certainly going to be some questions on that. Audit risks, that is made up of the inherent risks, control risks, all of those things. You are certainly going to be having some questions on that. Now, if you just joined the broadcast, this is a live Q&A session. Comment in the chat box with your questions. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, just comment below with your questions and I'll answer all of the questions for you here. Maybe you solved a question you didn't understand, or something about the examination you want to clarify on, or maybe you watch a video on my channel here and you don't understand something and you want clarity on it. Just comment below with your questions in the chat box and I will read all of those questions and then answer them for you. So when it comes to audit and assurance, certainly there will be questions on audit procedure. Certainly there will be questions on audit planning, risk assessment. Certainly there will be questions on reporting. Now, reporting and review stage of the audit, this is where we are talking about issues such as subsequent events, assessment of going concern, okay? Then overall review of the financial statements. These are critical issues that the examiner is going to be raising up if you are going to be writing audit and assurance. For instance, the issue in relation to going concern is going to be critical. Note that when it comes to going concern, it is a responsibility of management to assess the going concern status of the company and issue a written representation on the going concern status of the company. It is then the auditor's responsibility to assess the reliability of the estimates of the going concern as made by what? The management. Then the auditor must also assess the going concern status of the company himself. So not only rely on what management is saying, but also we must all undertake our assessment ourselves and understand whether this entity can operate into the foreseeable future, because this is critical, that is important, and that is something that we need to look out for. Now, for instance, there are certain things that are indicators of going concern issues, and you must make sure if you are writing audit and assurance or advanced audit and assurance, you understand these various indicators. Normally, these indicators of going concern problem boils down to the issues about business risks, which is made up of the compliance risks, the operating risks, and then the financial risks. So if, for instance, we've lost a key supplier, that could be that's an indicator. We've lost a key customer, that's an indicator. We've lost key management staff, that could be an indicator. But then you don't just identify the indicator and conclude and say, oh, the business is not operating or the business is going to suffer going concern challenges or going concern problem. However, you must identify or speak with management, inquire from management whether there are mitigating factors in order to eliminate those business risks or in order to mitigate those business risks. So if, for instance, we've lost a major customer, but we have signed a new contract with a new customer, then it is no more an issue of going concern. So let's say we produce Sobolo, and we produce 10,000 bottles of Sobolo every day, and we have a customer that buys 8,000 bottles of the Sobolo. Then during the year something happened and the customer decides not to buy the Sobolo from us again. That means we've lost a key customer. Now that means going into the future it could affect our operation. However, if after the year end we've signed a contract with, say, West Hills Mall, or we've signed a contract with Accra Mall, and they are ready to buy maybe 90% of our production capacity, then in that case we say that that issue is no more what a going concern problem. It's not a going concern indicator. We can go ahead and still run our business. We can go ahead and still do our things, because yes, we've lost a key customer, but we have had what, even a much bigger customer that will be able to help us to operate into the foreseeable future. So if you are going to be writing audit and assurance also, these are the things that you must understand in relation to that. Again, if you just joined the broadcast, comment below with all your questions. Look at the chat box there. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, if you have any questions concerning the exams, questions concerning our objectives here on YouTube, questions concerning anything, just put it in the chat box and I'm going to be answering all of those questions for you. And remember that I'll be doing these live broadcasts every day, almost every day, till you write the exams, so that I will come live like this and answer questions that you may be having in relation to the examination. So comment below with your questions and let me answer them for you in relation to that. So that is about audit and assurance. So I've spoken to you about financial reporting, I've spoken to you about public sector, then I've spoken to you about audit and assurance. Then if you are writing financial management also, this is for you, very critical. When it comes to financial management, there are key areas that we have to focus on. There are key areas that we have to be on the lookout for our financial management. So if you are writing financial management substantially, under the new syllabus, there are a couple of new integration into the new syllabus. So, something like time value of money. Time value of money. This is something that the examiner has incorporated, or the new syllabus is having. Then issues about sinking fund is also there in relation to that. Has to do with where, for instance, a business wants to buy an asset in 5 years' time. How much money should they be putting aside every month or every year at a certain interest rate in order for them to be able to buy the assets later on in the future? So the concept of sinking fund is there. Then issues about time value of money is there. All right, simple interest, the issue about discounting is there. So if you are writing financial management, key areas that you have to really expect the examiner to be setting questions around: investment appraisal. It is going to be certainly there in the exam hall because it's fundamental to the job of the CFO or the financial manager of a company. Working capital management is a critical aspect as well for the financial management syllabus, because every time certainly the examiner sets some questions on that, and you have to be on the lookout to be able to answer the questions in the exam hall. Then in addition to the working capital management also, certainly the examiner is going to be setting some questions around business finance. Now when we say business finance, it's actually divided into two components. Okay, business finance is divided into two components. Can you close the door for me? It's divided into two components. So we talk about first sources of finance. Sources of finance. That is, where does the business get their money from, or where will the business get its money from? And we have long-term sources of finance and then short-term sources of finance. When it comes to the long-term sources of finance, we are talking about issues such as equity finance, debt finance, okay, issue of loan notes, issue of debenture notes, okay, deep discount bond, zero discount bond. Then when it comes to the equity aspect, we are talking about issues such as public issue, maybe placing, maybe rights issues. All of these things are sources of finance that you need to look out for. But when you look at sources of finance, the second aspect of it is cost of capital. So when you look at source of finance, then the second aspect is cost of capital. So cost of capital has to do with how much we need to earn in order to pay the providers of finance for the money that they are giving to us. So if, for instance, we are having issues in relation to going to borrow money from the bank, and the bank is giving us the loan at an interest rate of 25%, then that interest rate of 25% becomes what? The cost of capital of the company. But remember that when it comes to cost of capital, it is also divided into two. We have what we call cost of equity and then cost of what? Debt. And the cost of equity, you have to be able to understand the issue about redeemable debt and then irredeemable debt. The calculations are different in relation to that. Now when it comes to equity, you must make sure that you understand the issue about dividend valuation module. So if you are using dividend valuation module to calculate the cost of capital, the formula is different. And if you are using the capital asset pricing module in order to also calculate your cost of capital, that is also critical. So if you are writing financial management, these are critical areas that you have to focus on. These are critical areas that you have to look out for in relation to that. If you just joined the broadcast, there's a Q&A session. So look at the chat box, comment below with your questions, anything that you want me to look at, anything that you want me to answer. Comment below with your questions and I'll answer all of your questions for you. Maybe you have a question about a subject you are learning, a topic you are learning, or general question about the entire syllabus, about the structure of the examination. Comment below and I'm going to be answering all of these for you. Alright, so comment below with your questions and I'm going to be answering all of them for you. With your questions, I'm going to be answering all of them for you. So that is also something you need to understand about financial management. Then forex exchange risk. It's a critical area for financial management. So certainly the examiner is going to be setting some questions about forex currency risk management. This is where we are dealing with issues such as hedging techniques. We are dealing with issues such as interest rate hedging, forex exchange risk hedging, and all of those things in relation to that. So that is also what you must understand when we talk about financial management. So I've spoken to you about financial reporting, I've spoken to you about public sector, audit and assurance, and then financial management. Then management accounting. Now, note that management accounting in the previous syllabus has now been splitted into two. Okay, so it has now been splitted into two. So most of the introductory aspects to management accounting have been pushed to level 1. So things such as accounting for material, accounting for labor, accounting for overheads, all of those things are now matched in what? The level 1 introduction to management accounting. Nonetheless, the examiner may not be quiet. The examiner may not be quiet on that. He could set some questions around that, or he could ask you some questions around that. So if you are doing management accounting, key areas you have to look out for, key areas that you have to focus on will include issues such as short-term decision. This is critical about the syllabus. So short-term decisions will be critical. In addition to short-term decision, issues about standard costing and variance analysis. It has been the favorite of the examiner all the time. So certainly there are going to be some questions around standard costing and variance analysis. Then budgeting and budgetary control, very critical for the management accountant. Certainly there will be some questions about budgeting and budgetary control. Now this can be both theory and then preparation of the budget. Remember that the syllabus require that you learn how to prepare the master budget and the cash budget. But nonetheless, the examiner could go back because before you can prepare the master budget, you must have an understanding of the preparation of the functional budget, such as the sales budget, the labor budget, the material budget, the overheads budget, okay, the cash budget. Then you put all of these together, then you can prepare the budgeted income statement, the budgeted statement of financial position. So all of these things are key things that you have to look out for in relation to the examination. So that is also what you have to understand about management accounting. But also, performance measurement is going to be critical in the exam hall for management accounting. Certainly, the examiner is going to be coming from performance measurement. Issues about the balance scorecard could be examined by the examiner, so it's something you need to look out for. Transfer pricing is a critical area for management accounting. You need to look out for that. Then not only that, you have to also consider the issue in relation to Emmanuel Brimpon. You are saying I should recap that of audit and FR. Okay, audit and FR. All right, I'll do that in a moment. So when it comes to management accounting, you must make sure that you look at the issue about transfer pricing. You look at issues about divisional performance appraisal. Now, when we are looking at divisional performance appraisal, this is where we are talking about ROSI, return on investment, return on capital employed, that is ROSI, return of an investment, and then residual income. These are very critical areas that you have to look out for. So short-term decision, standard costing variance analysis, issues about the profit statement, marginal costing, absorption costing, and then activity-based costing. These are critical areas. Certainly the examiner is going to be coming there if you are looking at management accounting for the examination. So these are what you have to be looking out for in management accounting as well if you are going into the examination. So Emmanuel Brimpon, let me answer your question. He said I should kindly recap the audit and FR. FR, what I mentioned was that when it comes to FR, partnership is out now, branch accounting is out now. So when it comes to FR, ethics is going to be a critical area in the examination now. Ethics is in almost each subject, so certainly there will be some questions under ethics for financial reporting, certainly all other things being equal. Conceptual framework, regulatory framework, there is certainly going to be some theory questions on that. Then accounting standards, it's likely that the examiner could bring 25% or 30% mark questions on the accounting standards. So you have to be on the lookout for the accounting standards. Remember that when it comes to the accounting standards, there are fundamental accounting standards that you need to understand, okay? Fundamental accounting standards you need to understand. Accounting standards such as IAS 12, IAS 16, IAS 36, IAS 37, IAS 38, IAS 40, IFRS 15, IFRS 16, IFRS 5, IFRS 9. All of these are critical accounting standards that you have to look out for if you are going to be on positioning yourself for financial reporting. So Emmanuel, these are the things that you have to be on the lookout for. Then definitely ratios or interpretation of financial statements. You see, when it comes to interpretation of financial statements, many students are excited about the topic, interpretation of financial statements. They look at it and they think that, oh, I can do it. But then you see, it is not about calculating the ratios. It is about your ability to be able to interpret the ratios. And I'll be sharing this much later, but when you are interpreting ratios, you have to tell us, among other things, 3 or 4 things. Number 1, you need to tell us the causes, the possible causes of the ratios that you have calculated. 2, you have to tell us the implication of the ratio on the current performance of the company. 3, you need to tell us the future implication of the ratios that you have calculated on future operations of the business. Okay, so you don't just tell us that net profit margin has increased by 20%. And so what? If that's increased by 20%, what are the possible causes of that? So you tell us the causes. What are the implications of that on the financial statements of the company? You must tell us about that. What are the future implications? Could it affect our operations going forward? Could it affect our GRA going forward? Could it affect our going concern going forward? What is it that it could affect us? You must be able to interpret that for us if you are going to be answering the question on interpretation. Then finally, students' favorite when it comes to financial reporting, that is consolidated financial statements. Now certainly there is going to be a question on consolidated financial statements, but this is my advice to you. There are fundamental principles when it comes to consolidated financial statements. So if you are going to increase your chances of passing financial reporting exam, make sure you understand the basic concepts about consolidated financial statements. 1. Determination of your group structure. 2. Assessing the date of acquisition and then the reporting date. 3. Understanding how to deal with the net assets of the company, so you could use that to calculate your goodwill, you could use that to calculate your group retained earnings, you could use that to calculate your non-controlling interest. So you should be able to do all of that. All right? These are fundamental principles. Then, how you account for investment in associates according to IAS 28. That's critical. That is important. So, according to IAS 28, you are supposed to use the equity method to account for investment in associates. You must understand the principles, you must understand the concepts that underlie these. This is what you must do if you are going to be increasing your chances of passing the financial reporting exam. So, Emmanuel Brinkpong, I think these are some of the things that you need to understand when it comes to financial reporting. For audit and assurance, you must make sure you understand audit procedures. Definitely the examiner is going to be bringing questions on audit procedures. You must make sure you understand issues about audit evidence. You must make sure you understand issues about internal controls. You must make sure you understand issues about audit planning and engagement, because certainly the examiner is going to be setting some questions under that risks assessment. So audit risks, which is made up of the inherent risks, the control risks, and then the detection risks. Remember that the auditor has no control over inherent risks and control risks. However, the auditor must design his audit in such a way that he will be able to reduce the audit risk to substantially low level by reducing the detection risk. So that is also something you need to look out for. Then reporting. This has to do with at the conclusion stage of the audit, what are you supposed to do? You must make sure that you look at subsequent events. How do you account for them? You must make sure you look at the going concern status of the company. How do you account for them? Then you must make sure you look at the overall financial statements and how you can deal with them. So, Emmanuel, these are some of the things that you have to be on the lookout for financial reporting and audit and assurance. So, if you just join the broadcast, click the link, the chat below, and drop your questions in there, and let me answer your questions for you. Right, so comment below with your... Right, so I just finished answering the question of Emmanuel Brinkpong on FR and audits. So you can comment below with your questions and I'll answer them for you as well. Comment below with your question. I'm almost going to close the broadcast in a moment. I'm going to be ending the broadcast in the next few minutes. So if you have some questions that you want me to answer, you have some questions that you want me to look at, you can put it in the comment box quickly and I'll look at it for you. In the next 5 minutes, I'll be ending the broadcast for today. I'll be ending the broadcast today in relation to that. I have discussed a number of issues. I've spoken about a number of things to help you to be able to understand and position yourself well for the examination. And I believe that what we've discussed today is going to help you more. Tomorrow, same time, 1600 GMT or 4 o'clock PM. I'm going to go live again tomorrow. I'm going to be doing this till you write your exams every single day. I'm going to try as much as possible and see if I can come live and answer your questions for you and help you. We will be also be doing some live lectures later on as we take this whole discussion to another level. So that is all about our discussion today. I'm going to end the broadcast today here. You can continue with the conversation with us, and if you want to, in case you are thinking about our executive revision masterclass, maybe you've heard about it, you've seen the ads about it. If you want to join our executive revision masterclass, you can call the number in the chat box 0548 769918 or 050114 9296, and you will be directed and get access to do your revision session under my mentorship to help you to prepare well for the examination. So you can call 0501149296 or 0548 769918 for any inquiries that you want and anything that you have. We will be broadcasting live our revision session via Skype. It will be on YouTube like this. It will be live via Skype, so we can help you to prepare well for your examination. So you can WhatsApp us or call us, and then we can add you to the Skype group where you'll be able to have access to the private sessions, so you can prepare well for the examination. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being with me for the broadcast. And thank you for sharing your questions with me, Emmanuel, and then Emmanuel Brimpon, Bernard, and other people who also like and share the video. So same time tomorrow, 1400 GMT or 4 p.m. Ghana time, I'm going to be live again on YouTube, and I'll share with you some thoughts as well that you'll be able to prepare well for your examinations. So I will see you again next time or same time tomorrow as we continue with our discussion.